Single-handedly, it made me think of that Civil War scene where Captain America is like pulling the helicopter back.
That scene really irritated me because you don't.
She just wanted to be.
I know.
And then they also like had the moment at the end where they like just started laughing together. It was really sweet. I was like, oh, they're friends. Welcome back to We Need to Talk About with Digital Spy, and we are here today to talk about Bridgerton season 3, which is out on Netflix on May 16th, and we are the TV team. I'm Becky.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Janet. Why did I turn to the camera?
So, we need to talk about Bridgerton season 3.
Season 3.
Which is...
We were new.
season 3. Which is about Penelope and Colin finally getting together after like 2 seasons of build-up.
Yeah.
And so we've watched the first half, because obviously the season is split. And it starts with Penelope, who... It's like me, a redhead, don't really go well with like citrus colours. They stuck her in these ugly dresses.
Always the yellow.
Yeah,
right?
they like the like yellow, the weird like excessive
really,
hair, all of the makeup, or like not makeup, but like jewelry and stuff that she has to wear. And then they give her like a makeover scene, which reminded me of like She's All That, where she's like comes down the stairs and gets her moment.
You hated that moment?
Hated it.
Oh,
Why?
I loved
no, it's not so much the moment. It's what it symbolises. It's the Sandy from Greece like thing of like, I need to go and change myself to appeal to this man that I'm in love with. And I just... No.
I guess, but I feel like everybody's had their glow-up moment in Bridgerton. So I feel like in this setting, it's not so bad. And I love the spotlight being on Penelope.
They, though?
Yeah, I think
with
so.
the women, I mean. Because I don't think that they have.
Oh, no, they haven't. It's just all been the men, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even the men, it's been like, it's not been something that they've consciously talked about in the show.
Yeah.
They're just in between the seasons, like they got rid of Anthony's like mutton chops and gave him a spray tan. But it wasn't like obvious.
I do feel like though Penelope was never happy in her dress sense and her own skin. Like her own skin, yes, but like what she was wearing was very much her mother's influence. So that kind of felt like I'm stepping out into my own instead of like, oh, I'm having a nice pretty makeover.
And I'm here for like the butterfly moment. Like everyone wants to like come into themselves and feel more confident, and I feel like that is a journey that you go on as you grow up. But I think for me, it was the fact that they made it this thing. She very specifically said she wanted the Paris influence, which she'd heard Colin say.
That griped me.
She was doing it with that intention of, I want to appeal to the things that Colin has been telling everyone that he wants. And that was the bit where I was like, oh, do we really need to do this? I don't like that as a trope.
But then I think that they managed to get around that, like the kind of ickier elements of that, by that she does this makeover and she's still like really insecure talking to suitors. Like it's not like that is the like silver bullet that changes everything for her. And she realizes like, oh, it's not really about that, it's about like having a connection with someone. So so I thought in that respect it was not,
they pulled it back
terrible.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So Colin obviously shows up looking a bit different as well.
Yes. He got the Bridgerton personal trainer and they were like, you may take off your shirt now.
Yeah, I thought that whole like build up of him like entering was interesting. It was a bit cringe.
Oh, with the hand and the kissing of the hand.
That
was so
and
cringy.
All the women like swooning and then
he loved it. He was lapping it up. It was but yes, but he was a little bit. It feels a little bit like he's put on his brother's big clothes and he's not wearing it right. Like he was trying to be suave, and I was like, oh, Colin, that's very cringy.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
I feel like what's interesting is I feel like in between he went on like a gap year, I think it was at the end of the first season, and he came back and he was like going on and on about his travels and how it had changed him, and then he's kind of done it again this season, but he comes back and he's like really reluctant to talk about it, and I think that they're trying to show that he's matured and he's become someone who's not going to be like really braggadocious, and then as a result he's got like all of these women flocking to him. But I do feel like it's, after what he said at the end of the second season about Penelope, which she overheard, I don't think that like personally going into it, I wasn't primed to be in a place of like, oh yay, good for Colin, everyone fancies him.
I don't think you're meant to. Ew. I think you're meant to go in and think, oh, you're just a bit ick. You haven't quite got it yet. I think you're supposed to go in, and he's had this big makeover and he looks different, but really he's still so insecure as well, and he still feel like he has to put on a show on a front. So I think you're supposed to be like, oh, you're very cringy right now, and that is what I get every time I see him.
I don't think you are.
I think you are.
I don't think that they're going for like he's meant to be putting your back up. I think they're like, he's your new leading man.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're there yet. I think that he needs to grow into that, and that's what you're seeing. He's like very awkward in it.
But there is no moment where it's like, he's
the first half.
But it ends with a proposal. Like, what else is going to happen?
No, but it's
spoiler.
Yeah, it's okay. Spoiler for you guys.
But that proposal isn't.
It's
not. It can't be the moment.
Okay.
It is. What's going to happen is he's going to find out that she's Lady Whistledown. That will tear them apart. But this is the romance now. We're in it.
No, but I still feel like he's still got some maturing to do. So definitely.
I think both of those things can be true at the same time. I think he definitely is on a journey of coming into himself still. I agree with that, but I also do agree that you're not supposed to find him as cringy as maybe we all found him. And the scene in the back of the carriage with his brothers where he just out of the blue rips his shirt off was so like over egged. I feel like that was meant to give the reaction of like, oh my god,
what are you doing?
This amazing leading man.
Yes, really? I agree.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I feel like
it didn't land.
I feel like it's so the polar opposite of like Anthony coming out of the water and being like, oh my god, okay, you look great.
No, see, I think they were trying to recreate.
Oh, I feel like we were supposed to be like, come on, Colin, you're not there yet. Like,
oh my god, the scene when they're at the hot air balloon and he's like pulling the hot air balloon down single-handedly. It made me think of that Civil War scene where Captain America is like pulling the helicopter back. I was like, wow, they're really trying to make us fancy him.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
So one of the other additions this season is Lord Debling, who kind of creates in the first half like a love triangle. I found his character kind of like baffling because he at first I thought that they really nicely like set up him and Penelope as actually being very well suited for each other. And I got to the point where I was kind of rooting for them over her and Colin, and then they very suddenly like switched it back. I think it was like an episode later where they were like, oh, but he wants to go traveling, like this isn't going to work. And so I think that they like tried to create a little bit of like the second season like love triangle, like three people being involved, but then didn't really get as much into it. I was wondering, what did you guys make of Lord Debling?
I forgot his name.
Tough break for Lord Debling.
That's how much of an impression he made on me. Like, he's obviously there as a plot device to create some tension, as you've just said, like to kind of try and create this love triangle, but they don't fully commit to it. And I think in so many ways he's great for her because he accepts her completely for who she is, and she doesn't feel like she has to put on like airs and graces and like think about what she's saying, and she can just completely be herself, and he's genuinely interested in her and what she's into, and he likes that she has her own like interests and things. So I kind of feel like in so many ways he's the better match for her. But then it comes back to that thing of you can't choose who you have feelings for, and obviously she's always going to be caught up on Colin. And that kind of annoys me as well, because it's like the second that Colin decides, oh, actually, I like Penelope, she's just going to drop everything and come running.
Lord Debling did drop her when he did find out she had feelings for Colin, so he was within his rights to do so. But she didn't automatically was like, oh, yes, I want to be with you now that Lord Debling doesn't want me. She was just like, this isn't possible, we can't be together. I did like Lord Debling. I did think he was like, I love what you said about him being like accepting Penelope for who she was, and like she doesn't have to put any airs and graces on for him. I don't know if I thought he was the right one for her, because she's always been about romance and love, and he was just not offering that. He was like, you can have your life, I can have mine, and everything can work. And I was like,
but I think that was
the old school like business transaction element of marriage, which was a thing and maybe still is a thing for some people.
So she could have had her freedom with him, but I don't think she would have felt complete with him. Not that I think Colin has earned his place in her life yet, but
but then I think that is part of it. Like, they call it the marriage market. It's like the whole thing is so transactional. She's like, I've been out on the market for 3 years, I'm basically on the shelf, is what she's saying at the beginning. I feel bad for her a lot in the season. Like even the first kiss scene where she like has to beg him to kiss her.
That scene really irritated me because you don't.
She just wanted to be.
I know
it was so heartbreaking.
That's heartbreaking, and it's really nice that she owned that moment and was like, "I just want this." But him kissing her was almost like him saying, "Yeah, you're never going to find anyone. I might as well help you out here." And I was like, "I don't want to see this." I didn't think it was that.
That's a savage read.
I didn't like it. Wasn't feeling it, wasn't into it. I was like, please just tell her no. Please tell her like you'll find.
Oh my god, that would have been worse. Could you imagine like begging someone to kiss you and then they're like, no?
None of it was any. She didn't have. I just didn't like it. No, not for me.
Yeah, I didn't like it because I was like, it was just sad, like seeing her because she's such a great character and seeing her being like literally on the verge of tears over the fact that she just wants him to kiss her.
Begging Colin though.
Yeah, I know. But he's
someone else, but not Colin.
He's hot property in the third season. Everyone fancies him.
Apparently.
So at the end of the first part of season 3, we get the carriage scene, which there'd been a lot of build up about it because from fans of the books, because it was seen as like one of the like steamier scenes, and also because it's, I mean, I've not read it personally, but from people that have, I've heard that it's like really, really like lovely writing, like really well done. And
isn't it like a really pivotal point in that? In
the book like
as well?
It's. I think it follows what happens in the show of like that's their first like moment together, and then they do like he proposes like as is in the show. And so I think that they like Nicola Coughlan and Luke Newton talked about like the pressure of going into the season, like mainly because of this scene. And I just think they did it really nicely. It was really lovely.
Polar opposite to the please kiss me, Colin, please kiss me now scene.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, this is where we hit romance. This is where it's like, it's more mutual. They're both into each other.
Yeah.
I was here for that scene.
I really like that they had like kind of the steamier moment, and then they also like had the moment at the end where they like just started laughing together. It was really sweet. I was like, oh, they're friends.
I really like that too.
Yeah. I actually felt like that was very like heartwarming, and then he proposes. What did you?
The proposal came way too quick for me.
Yeah.
I did love the carriage scene, and I didn't expect to because I was not invested in their relationship. I didn't want them to end up together for all the reasons that you've already said. But I thought the chemistry between the two of them, the actors, is amazing. It really came across, and it kind of did warm me up to them a bit, that scene. And I completely agree with you, the fact that like we had that like intense passion and then it brought it right back to their like friendship.
It was really sweet. Nice. Yeah,
but also I feel like you're right, it did come too early, which is a bad sign that things are not gonna stay.
Yeah, it made me think of the first season of like they got married quite early on in comparison to like the second season where it was like a slow burn, and I was like, oh, okay, so I mean, this is just classic like romance. They're not good at having people like be happy together. So I was like, okay, the back season is obviously going to be filled with. I think it's going to be like Lady with. He's going to find out that she's Lady Rotterdam, and it's going to like.
Well, because they've already dropped those breadcrumbs, haven't they? Of like him telling his sister that he's when he finds out who she is, she's going to pay. And
I didn't really feel the threat of that from Colin. Sorry.
What was he gonna do?
It's
not a murder mystery.
Well, it just didn't have any weight, but I was like, that's cute. Good for you,
That would be a great twist, though.
Oh my god, I'd love that. Yes, let's turn it into a crime drama.
Oh god.
So we finished the first part of the season, and we've like got to wait about a month now for 4 more episodes, which is the first time that Bridgerton has done this, like made people wait in between the season. And it's like a long enough wait as it is in between the seasons. So what do you think of that decision from Netflix?
I'm annoyed.
Don't like it.
I don't. I think the split season release can work for certain shows.
Stranger Things,
brilliant.
Yeah.
It works to build tension and like allow people time to like talk about it and theorize, etc.
They did that with Ozark, and that worked really well.
But it's not that kind of show.
Bridgerton is not that kind of show, and I feel like you want to be immersed in that world and really pulled into like the romance and the passion and the emotions of the story. And I just feel like now we've hit this peak of like they've finally got together. And now we have to wait a month.
Yeah.
And as you've mentioned previously, like, we clearly know that there's going to be some obstacles for them.
Yeah.
So can we see it already, please?
Yeah.
I just feel like because the start of the season obviously is quite slow because we're building up to something grander, and there's a really nice moment that we've ended with. I feel like we need all of it, because otherwise it just feels like we've watched this really, really slow bit, had this really passionate scene, and then we're just pausing.
Yeah.
Like, we need the entirety of it. I want it all. I want it all.
I wouldn't mind it if the wait weren't so long. I think a month is just such a long time for you to you're just gonna forget what's happened, and maybe they'll like have a refresher, like a teaser or something. But it just kind of, I think that they're doing it to try. They're obviously doing it to like maintain, like elongate how long people are talking about the show. But I feel like it's gonna have the byproduct effect of you're just going to end, like the second half probably is going to feel a bit like unsatisfying by comparison.
And like with the Crown, they did the split, and by the time part 2 came around, nobody was talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like some people might just wait. They might just wait until both. Yeah, I know some people who are like, no, I'm just going to watch. Yeah, bulk watch it, because that's what you want from.
But then you get spoiled.
Yeah. Well, stay off social media, guys.
For a month.
Yeah, do it.
Delete those apps. Yeah, that's a really good point though with the month. I feel like if they did it a week, that would actually work out quite nicely. Yeah, because it takes the pressure off of, because there is that pressure, isn't there, when a box set drops of like, oh my god, I need to watch the entire thing before anyone spoils it for me.
Yeah, and I also think like the fact that they have put the carriage scene in the first half, and that I feel like is the main thing I knew about this season going into it. Like, I don't really know what there is to look forward to in the back half, because they've already given that away. And also, let's hope there's more Kate and Anthony in the second half, just like on a tangent, because they're barely in the first half.
And I like it that way though, because I want the focus to be Penelope. Like, I don't want it to be us to be distracted by Kate and Anthony.
But you've got like Francesca's storyline. Like, there are other storylines in the mix.
So let's not dilute it even more.
So actually, this is a really good point that might end up being a feature on digitalspy.com, is how there's all this fanfare about it finally being Penelope and Colins' season, but it's not just their season, because we do have, for the first time, I think, at least on the show, I don't know from the books, we have these other peripheral romances going on at the same time. Yeah. And the show is giving quite a lot of time over to those, because there's even the bubbling potential romance for the Bridgerton's mum. I can't remember her name.
Violet.
Lady Bridgerton and Lord Marcus.
Yes. Yeah. And that's interesting and great.
Yeah. I want to see that, but I do agree it's like unfair when they've known that their season was coming for so long, and now it is like kind of feeling a bit watered down, because you've also got like the Featheringtons like drama, and they're kind of providing a lot of the comic relief this season.
And I don't care about them getting pregnant with a baby.
I did find that funny. I did find that funny when they were like, when they had the whole thing about not knowing how to have sex. I laughed out loud. It was so good.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
Be kissing.
Yeah.
But I do feel like in Bridgerton we've had other romances. It's just that we haven't really had two leading ladies. Like in the first season it was there was that romance between Anthony and the opera
I didn't
singer.
care about that, yeah.
And I did.
But I don't think as well that as much time was spent on that as what is happening this season.
I don't know. He had a big tearful moment where she left him, and it was like really heartbreaking for him. And that's why he goes into the next season with like, I'm going to be very business minded. I'm going to go and find like a proper marriage and settle down. So I felt like it had some weight to it. And there was another one in season 2. I can't remember.
There's been like Benedict has had like storylines each, like random romances each season, and there are like normally smaller ones, but also I feel like Francesca being like making her debut on Society, like that's like a big chunk of the season so far. So I feel like they are it's you're not really getting that much like Penelope and Colins so far in comparison.
Agreed.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like we're getting quite substantial Penelope and Colin, but I just don't feel like we necessarily needed as much of Francesca as we've had so far. No offense to her. She's great.
I just think that she could have been her own season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she could have had...
I think she will be, though, because, like, Shonda Rhimes has said that they're going to do... The plan is to do, like, a season on each sibling. And so...
But is this season...
This isn't... I don't think this is going to be... This is Colins season, so I don't think that this is going to be like Francesca's romance coming to fruition. Maybe this is just like the beginning of like something else. Those are our thoughts on Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. Thank you for tuning in, and let us know what you think in the comments.